Kids are absolutely amazing. 12 minutes gone past the hour of 11 o'clock. Time for us to get to our final conversation. And we are talking about children. Yeah, children. Children. However you want to call them, where we're talking about them. Particularly the teenagers this morning. Yes, gather around, people. My question this morning is this: what time restrictions are suitable for teens? Let me say that again. What time restrictions are suitable for children, for teens? Right? Now, we know it as curfew, right? Oh, let me give a definition, right? That I think that will help everybody in this conversation. Okay? All right, let me give it a definition so we can move on. And in the context with which we're speaking, I can hopefully generate better responses. So, curfew, right? Spelled CURFEU, right? Curfew. Now we are very used to curfews in these countries because during the military regime, whenever something was going wrong, curfew. There's some fight somewhere. Oh, yeah, that's true. During the NSAS protest, there was a curfew. During lockdown, there was a curfew. So what is a curfew? Now, it is a regulation requiring people to remain indoors between specified hours, usually at night. All right, that's where you have that. Remember that when a lot of people were having problems with that rule, the dusk to dawn curfew. So we're like, is it dusk to dawn or dawn till dusk? But usually it is dusk till dawn. I mean, dusk usually comes about 6 p.m. in the evening till dawn. Dawn usually comes through about 6 a.m. in the morning. So usually you hear people say 6 to 6. All right. Now, curfews for children and teens are used to promote safety, teach responsibility, and provide structure. It usually has to do with specific times where the child is meant to be either sleeping or restricted from certain actions or activities. So, what would determine a particular curfew or restriction? Usually is the age of the child, and some people say the maturity of a child. So you may have a child or a teenager who is maybe 14, 15, but the person hasn't quite given you a reason to trust the person yet. So certain curfews will persist. Now, when I was growing up, we had a curfew. 5 p.m. was our curfew. This was up until we were in, I think, either SS3 or SS2, SS3, right? So 5 p.m. was our curfew. That means that if we're home and we stepped out of the house back in those days in Elekaya house, where we'll play football on the street or maybe go to somebody else's compound that was spacious enough for us to play football in, we could do that. But 5:05, not the Peugeot car now, 5 minutes after 5 should not catch any Omamegbe child outside of his house. We're all boys. They catch you, you go ask God who your real father is, because I don't understand why this kind of thing should be happening in my house. So we had a curfew. Once again, it was 5:05. Anything after that time, problem. We're in problems. As we grew older, obviously, it got to 65. By the time we're probably in year one or so, yeah, secondary school year one, that's when, we could stay out till 6 p.m. No phones by that time, right? But 6:05, if you're not in the house, you must have a very good excuse or you get some punishment. These days, I see parents treat curfews like it's not to be taken very seriously. Now, we live in a time where you have digital curfews. If you remember COVID very well, a lot of people were exposed to a lot of content. My first foray into an auntie's house where I went to spend holidays, I think it was my first year or so, there was a channel. Don't forget, my house, we had curfew to be in the house. We also had a sleeping time, 9 p.m. So for a very long time throughout my formative years, 9 p.m. was when my body starts to shut down. You could barely find Jude awake by 9:30. And so when I got to university, it was the first challenge I had to overcoming the urge to sleep at 9:30, because 9:30, that's when I said, man, I'm gonna go play game, I'm gonna go do this. It took me a while to get past that curfew stage. But today, when people have smart devices, are you placing the curfew? Do you let your child know you can only use the internet between 5 to 7, 7 to 9? Are there benefits? Are there restrictions that you place on your children? And finally, what is the best time or the best range, curfew time for your son or your daughter? Is it 5? Is it 6? I asked because yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, oh no, yesterday was Tuesday. On Sunday, I was out till about 7. And I saw teenagers around Port Harcourt. And they did not look like they had their parents around them. It didn't quite sit well with me that why would a 15-year-old be outside at 7:30, 8 p.m. at night with a group of other... It's not like people are going for church or something. They were just seeing around like, ants that they sprayed, insecticide. I don't know. It sounded weird or looked very weird to me. So when I come back, you please help me with this very small information. Right? What is the curfew range for you? What time are you set up your curfew for your children? What restrictions are suitable for teenagers? That's what we want to find out when we return. This zero 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 three 0817 923 at Nigeria Info PH. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and X. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. WhatsApp is 0809 030 6416 0809 030 6416. We're talking about curfews this morning, not the one by the government, but in your houses, at your homes. The question is, what time restrictions are suitable for teens? Like I said, 7:38 on Sunday, I saw teenagers outside. Teenagers, 7:38. For me, I felt that was a bit too late. But I don't know. I don't have teens. You that have teens, tell us. All right, Jude, good morning. Temple, I hope the one play game. No, the one play game is not on at the moment. It's being reviewed. When it comes back, you will definitely know. All right, Patrick here says, good morning, Jude. I totally agree with you. In Port Harcourt these days, I've been seeing this as well. I don't understand why there are so many teenagers out late at night, sometimes 9. And these are not people who are in university, they're in other places. If it was on campus, I probably wouldn't have been batting an eyelid because we know that some children are pretty young to be in school. Patrick is saying. All right, Patrick, thank you very much. 90.3, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, can you hear me? Good morning, please. Oh dear. All right, please do call back. I couldn't hear you. Unfortunately, service provision there provided not particularly great. At Nigeria Info PH at Nigeria Info. PH is where you will find us on Facebook and on X. We're talking about curfew. Once again, what's the curfew? Curfew is a regulation requiring people to remain indoors between specified time. And I said, curfews are a very great way to help protect the child, boost confidence, development, and whatnot. For me, it provided structure. For a very long time, I started to sleep by 9 o'clock because up until I went to secondary school, my bedtime was 9 p.m. Not even till today, if I'm honest, sometimes 9 p.m. my body starts to wind down. It's like, okay, let's say you go sleep. Except maybe there's some football or some movie, I then, push myself. But, that was what I was used to. But like I said, seeing I'm very none of those groups. There were about 2 or 3 different. None of them I saw on Sunday were up to 18. None, not one of them. And yet they were outside. And they were obviously unsupervised. And I'm not talking about street children. I'm talking about children who dressed well and everything. What were they doing outside at 9? specifically for teenagers. Yes. Now, a digital curfew means your child, your kid, cannot use technology like a cell phone, a video game, TV, tablet, or laptop for a certain period of time, usually at night. Now, since COVID hit, digital curfews have now become more relevant than ever. Some psychologists would even tell you that without them, it is very easy for children to be online with friends at any time, day or night. So you have your child who is in SS2, SS3, or even JSS3. Maybe the child is 12 or 13 or 15. Let's say 15, 16, SS1 or SS2. Or let's say the child is 17. The child is about to enter the university. 17, 18, the child is in your house. Do you restrict that person, that 17, that year one child, from being on the internet at 10 or 11 p.m.? Is that something you have considered or you are doing? Or does that particular digital curfew only make sense for those who are in secondary schools? But what about your physical curfew? How late can your child stay out? I can honestly tell you that the first time I was out of my house, in fact, the only times up until I left my parents' house that I was able to be out beyond 8 o'clock or at night was either during, what do you call that thing? New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve church services, right? Anything apart from that, you'd be I can't remember being out of my parents' house up until I went to university outside that 6, 7 o'clock time. In fact, the first time that happened, I had an earful from my father. And this was a time when Port Harcourt wasn't as rowdy as it is now. But I got my ears filled with advice and stern warning, reprimands. How dare you? Who are you? Until you leave this house, until you have your own wife and children, until you are paying your own rent, you cannot. This is my house. You come in when I say you should come in. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. But 7:30, 8 o'clock on Sunday, about that time, so two groups of teenagers outside. And I kept asking, do their parents know that they're out at this time, 7:30 to 8 p.m.? How did they get there? Where did they live? How are they going to get home? Maybe I'm worried over nothing. Maybe there was a parent that was supervising all of them, maybe in the car somewhere. Because where we were, we're all buying suya and everything. So maybe the parent was somewhere. I don't know. But that place was a place where you would expect to find more adults than teenagers. So what time is the best curfew time or curfew range that you are currently using? Let's find out.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
017-923-0002, 0817-923-0009. These are the phone numbers that we'd like you to use to call in and join us in a conversation. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0009. At Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and X. At Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. The WhatsApp number and the tab is right in front of me so that we can get your messages. The fact that you may not have a WhatsApp enabled device or maybe you're out of data doesn't mean that you are out of the conversation. The number is 0809 030 6416. 9.3, good morning. Hello, Port Harcourt.
Hello, good morning, Jude.
Good morning, please.
All right. My name is Paddy. I'm calling you from Port Harcourt.
Good morning, Paddy.
Okay. So my take on this issue is that a lot of parents are failing their responsibilities as parents, because what you saw on Sunday is not a movie. It's a reality in Port Harcourt. And the way parents are lethargic about their children's upbringing.
Oh, do I'm so sorry there, Paddy. Please call back if you can. Line was still on, the light was still flashing, so obviously it was a severed connection. Jude, what sort of dry mixtape is that you just played? Oh, you're referring to One Voice Children's Choir's mashup. I like it. Yeah, anyway, we'll find something to remediate. But hey, One Voice Children's Choir, they're pretty good. Pretty good. What's up? This one says, Jude, good morning. Kudos to the parents in the 80s who ensured rather every restriction or restrictions given to their children or to their wards was followed to the letter, as long as one remains under their roof, as discipline wasn't compromised, downplayed, or overlooked. It was next to their nature. Unfortunately, the reverse is the case in most families today. Teenagers should be home after their time in school, which includes their extramural classes, unless sent on an errand to return before 6 p.m. More importantly, is to let your teens know the reasons and benefits for the curfew sanctioned on them. It beams with that comment. It beams. Thank you very much. This one here says, Jude, good morning. Well, I think when a child is under 18, 6 p.m. is fair enough as curfew, even on the weekends, no matter where the person is going to. 6 o'clock, you suppose on reach house now. But once the child is at 18, Jude, and the child is going out of the house, then more liberty should be given to that person. You need to teach the person that you trust them with their time, and they should also respect you with your rules. But once the person has left school, I don't know how you want to do amu. So let me paint the scenario for you, please. So a young man or young woman has turned 18. The person is in year 1 or year 2. It's holidays. The person decided to come home. Are you saying that because this undergrad from the University of Port Harcourt or RSU, who's probably studying business administration or studying to become a doctor or is in the Department of Accounting, are you saying because this person is 18 and the person has not entered Uniport or the person has not entered RSU, the person can come back from wherever the person went to at 9 o'clock because after all, daddy, I'm 18. I'm an adult. Is that what you mean? I need to understand. Let's know where my parents came from and where yours are coming from. I need to understand. Because yes, I agree. Once you send the child to university, the child is on campus, hey, the child is on their own. The child can go out, and they often do go out. They can be in their friend's room, they can be in class, they're coming back from lectures, whatever, But you are home. Shouldn't there be restrictions? 90.3, good morning. Hello, Port Harcourt. Hello? Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Oh dear, that sounds like a child. You should have known, tried to contact Kids FM. Interesting. .3, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, please.
How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you for calling, please.
Yeah, this bus is simple. To me, I don't think it needs any coffee or any salt.
Oh, really? They shouldn't have coffees for children?
They shouldn't. If they're loud, they are young, they are fine, they are curious, there are a lot of fun too. But you have to counter that need. The first thing parents need to do is to train up their children. When you train up your children, there is no room for coffee. There is no room for restriction.
So wait, Zion, let me ask you, are you saying you are comfortable with seeing 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds at 8 p.m. in the night buying...
By that time when you are young...
No, they were not, the ones I saw were not with any parents. They're not under any supervision.
They're not trained now. a lack of training. Now, what do you expect? Where are your parents? A lot of kids today don't even have a most of them are single parented. And what do you expect from such a background? Thank God for some that are even been benefiting from being here. There's difference between training and taking care of. When you train them, they know that by 8 o'clock I shouldn't be outside. When you train them, they will know that if I'm even using the gadget, there are times I should not go to. When you train them, they know what to say and what not to say. But we only take care of them, they can't do anything. And if I come and tell us, oh, someone will don't go well, whoever will be doing it, that is not true, Jude. When you train them on a particular time, gadget usage, mannerism, etiquette, and ethics of life as a child, they will grow like that, can't be contaminated or lost in the name of peer pressure. Zion.
All right, thank you very much, Zion. Interesting, but I don't know if it might seem like a blank statement. That, okay, it's because it's basically it's likely rather a single parent that is raising these children. That's why they're not doing very well. But they don't seem to have curfew restrictions. I don't know. I don't have the facts. I don't have that particular study, if there is, in front of me. So I wouldn't want to, as well, agree with that comment, but. It might hold some credence. It might hold some credence. WhatsApp now 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. And I get to our Facebook page very shortly. Please do bear with me. We're trying to get the page to load up service provision. Oh, by the way, be advised, we're expecting rain later on today. All right, we're expecting rain. Later on today. So yeah. Now, all those children and their parents, all those children that their parents did not allow them to go out at night, are they still staying at home as the adult age at night? Ernest in Woji is asking. Well, Ernest, once you're an adult, for me, right, once you cross 21, 22, fine, you want to go out and you have the means to, why not? But I'll say this, even when I was 21, even when I was 22, when I was 23, and I was in my uncle's house, we still did not leave the house and come back, whenever we wanted, anytime, because you are 21 or because you're in the BQ. We didn't do that. In fact, it was when we moved to the BQ, right, which was away from the house, and, we were like, 300 level or something. That we're old enough then. We're like 23, 24. So okay, let's waka. And there's this event. Oh, let's go. We'll come back. We'll obviously we didn't have a car then. So we'll walk down. Walk down home. But I don't know. I know people who were still 24, right? And they were staying in their parents' houses and they couldn't come home at 8 p.m. 7 o'clock, in their house. If you are going to be out late, stay wherever you are. I think the reason why they did that was because they didn't want to have scenarios where the child or the individual was in transit and maybe an accident happens. If you are somewhere having a party and you say, stay there, 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, you can start coming home. Don't leave at 11 o'clock and you're trying to come back to your... No. In some houses, I've heard people saying it's about they just tell the security man, lock my gate by 10 o'clock. After 10 o'clock, nobody comes in, nobody goes out. I don't know if that's being strict or maybe it was just a fear coping mechanism. I can't tell you. More messages now. This one says, good morning, Jude. Growing up, I left the house 1 a.m. to go watch football. Big guy. I told my younger sister not to lock the door because my father and mother were already asleep, not knowing my father was awake, and he heard when the negotiation with my younger sister was on. Jude, when I returned, to my greatest surprise, the door was shut. I whispered to my younger sister in a low tone, not knowing my father heard me. He shouted at me and the embarrassment was overwhelming. He said, when I'm on my own, then I can go out anytime I want. Joshua Ubong from Transamadi. Joshua, thank you very much. 90.3, good morning. Hello, Port Harcourt.
Good morning, Jude. Good morning.
Good morning, please.
My name is Promise. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Welcome, Promise.
Okay, you mentioned about there are some people that will tell the security man to shut his gate at 10 o'clock. Yeah, it normally happens. Especially a landlord that owns a rented house.
That's fair enough. But what about children? We're talking about curfew for children. What time would you say your teenagers should be outside at the latest? Oh dear. Oh, the service provision has not been very great this morning. And this one here says, good morning. Who is an adult? I think when we first answer this question, we'll be able to answer this next question about curfew for teenagers. Once somebody is above 19 in my book, particularly if the person has got into university, the person can and shouldn't be given any further restriction apart from being safe. I know some parents who will tell children who are in university, if you must go out, stay wherever you are and don't come back home. But to tell a child, particularly an adult child who is probably early 20s, to come home at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, to me, I think it doesn't make sense. Okay, all right, so it doesn't make sense. Dear Jude, I was 26 years old and I stayed with my parents for about 6 months post NYSC before getting my first job and subsequently moving out of the house. I never came back to that house after 7 p.m. It is respect mingled with common sense. No name there. Let me read that. I was 26 years of age when I stayed with my parents for about 6 months post NYSC before getting my first job and subsequently moving out of the house. I never came back home, or to that house rather, after 7 p.m. It is respect mingled with common sense. Now he sent a name, Big Will. Big Will, thank you very much. So Big Will says for him, it was respect and some common sense. 7 p.m. You're under somebody's roof. The person obviously likes to be home at that time. Right? Likes to be home. I know every house has its own unique, its own nuance as regarding issues like this, but maybe Big Will is correct. It's respect with common sense. Yes, you're an adult. You're 26. You could be a father. Yes, some of us, our parents were 26 when they had us. Yes, we know that. Yeah, you could be a father. But you're under somebody's house. Under somebody's roof, rather. You can't be going in and coming out however and whenever you feel like now. Can you? All right, this is my final message here before we sign out. This one here says, Jude, good morning. I think a lot of parents these days are not paying very close attention to their children. And I don't know whether it's because they have too much money or they have too little time. For a teenager, 6 p.m. is fair enough. If the person's above 18, but still under your care, you are paying the person's bills, person's school fees, and even feeding the child, a negotiation, depending on the maturity of the person. But I don't think children, particularly those who are under the care of their parents, should go in and come out as they please. At 18, anyone should be allowed to do as they please. At 18, it is believed you have the wisdom and understanding to make the right decision for yourself. If you think returning home by 10:30 p.m. is the right decision, go for it. Common sense plays, and how long will you keep making the rules for him to follow? Let the child learn decision making and the consequences early for himself. Godfather from Uniport. All right, Godfather, thank you very much. This one says, yes, so it is respect with common sense. I was with my aunt and family till 28 when I got married. Oh, interesting. Jude, good morning. We were neighbors with your family, yay, at the Lekayas estate. I was about 19 years old. They no born you come back home after 7 p.m. It was an unspoken rule. Cool. Who's this person? Really? We're neighbors with my family Lekayas estate. But like I said, those days, 6 p.m. for us, we're already in. I was at 7 p.m. Anyway, at least those were those days. I don't know what's happening these days anyway. I don't know what's happening these days. Anyway, tomorrow, Wednesday, I will just report. Get all your stories ready. We look forward to having a great time with you. Sayonara.